Harrison Valley pushes open the door to his estate. He expects the usual silence of 8 o'clock in the evening, but he hears sobbing. His steps stop cold when he sees her. Maria Rivers, his housekeeper, is washing dishes at the kitchen sink. Her navy blue dress is soaked with anguish, and her swollen belly at 6 months pregnant trembles with each broken breath. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," she whispers without realizing he's there. In 3 years working for him, Maria had never shown vulnerability, never lost her composure, and never had hidden a pregnancy from him. Harrison feels something strange in his chest, as if something was about to break inside him too. He didn't know it, but that night he would discover something that would change his life forever. If this story already touched your heart in this first minute, subscribe to the channel. Here you'll find stories that heal, inspire, and make you believe in human goodness again. "Maria," his voice comes out softer than he intended. She spins around from the sink. Her eyes are swollen, red like the shame she feels. Her wet hands grip the edge of the counter. "Mr. Valley, I didn't hear you come in." Her voice trembles. "I'm almost done with the dishes." Harrison walks slowly toward the kitchen. The smell of detergent and anguish fills the air. The dishes gleam clean in the drying rack. "Forget the dishes." His voice is gentle. "Are you okay?" Maria looks down. Her hands, rough from years of work, grip the edge of the sink. "Yes, sir. Just a bad day." But Harrison knows lies. He's heard them in business meetings, in million-dollar contracts, in empty promises. And this isn't an ordinary lie. This is a lie filled with pain. "Maria." His tone is firm but not aggressive. "Look at me." She obeys slowly. Her brown eyes are filled with a sadness so deep, he feels like he's looking at the ocean in a storm. "How many months along are you?" The question hits her like lightning. Her lips tremble. 6 months, sir." "Why didn't you tell me?" The silence stretches between them like an open wound. Outside, rain continues falling against the windows. Inside, 2 completely different worlds are about to collide. Maria takes a deep breath. Her hand instinctively rests on her belly. "Because pregnant women lose their jobs, sir. And I couldn't lose this job." "Why?" She closes her eyes. A fresh tear rolls down her cheek. "Because my baby is going to die if I don't get money to save her." The words fall on Harrison like stones. He, who manages budgets of millions of dollars, who makes decisions affecting hundreds of employees, who built an empire of private clinics, had never heard a sentence that hurt his soul so much. "What do you mean?" Maria opens her eyes. There's no shame in them anymore. Only the fierce determination of a mother. "My little girl is going to be born with a severe heart defect, sir. She needs surgery that costs more money than I could earn in my entire lifetime." What would a millionaire do upon discovering that the woman who works in his house is fighting alone against time to save her daughter? What happened next would surprise them both. Harrison sits on the Italian leather sofa across from Maria, who remains standing with her hands clasped. The distance between them isn't just physical, it's an abyss of experiences, opportunities, worlds that rarely meet. "Tell me everything," he says. Maria takes a deep breath. Her story flows like water held back by a dam that finally breaks. Her name is Laura. When I was 5 months pregnant at the public hospital, they told me she has a severe heart defect. The medical words come out awkwardly from her mouth. "Her heart didn't form properly. Babies turn blue when they cry. They can't breathe." Harrison knows that condition. In his clinics, they've operated on similar cases. He knows exactly how much the procedure costs, between $40,000 and $60,000. For him, the equivalent of a business dinner. For her, unreachable. "The doctor told me Laura has a chance to live if they operate in her first days of life, but at the public hospital. The waiting list is 2 years. Babies can't wait that long, sir." Her voice breaks, but she continues. "Laura's father left when he found out. He said he didn't want a sick baby, that I should manage on my own." Harrison feels a rage he hadn't experienced in years. It's pure rage against injustice, against cowardice, against a system that allows stories like this to exist. Have you tried asking for help anywhere? Maria smiles bitterly. Sir, I'm a housekeeper. I have no education, no connections. To the world, I'm invisible. She touches her belly. But Laura won't be invisible. I'm going to make them see her. From her apron pocket, Maria takes out a small metal box. She opens it carefully, as if it were a treasure. Inside, there's a gold watch with a tarnished chain and a small silver locket with the photo of an older woman. This watch belonged to my father. He worked 40 years in a factory to feed my siblings and me. This locket belonged to my mother. She died when I was 15. But before that, she told me never to sell this, that it was our family's history. Harrison looks at the objects. They're worth no more than $150 on the market. For Maria, they're the entire universe. I was going to sell them tomorrow to start raising money, and then I was going to sell the only thing I have left of value. What thing? Maria removes a small chain from her neck. Hanging from it is a small gold ring with a tiny stone that barely shines. My sweet 16 ring. It was my grandmother's. With this together, I could raise about $250, maybe $300 if I find someone who's generous. The numbers spin in Harrison's head like an impossible equation. $300 for a $50,000 surgery. It's like trying to cross the ocean on a paper raft. Maria, that's not enough for... I know. Her interruption is soft but firm. But it's a beginning, and beginnings are important, aren't they? Harrison looks at her with an admiration that surprises him. This woman, who earns $800 a month cleaning his house, who was abandoned by her baby's father, who faces a medical system that sees her as a number, this woman hasn't given up. Why didn't you ask me for help? The question comes out of him before he can process it. Maria looks at him as if he'd spoken in another language. Ask you for help? Sir, you already help me. You give me work. You treat me with respect. You never yell at me, never make me feel less. That's already more help than I've received from anyone else. Her words hit Harrison like a slap of reality. He, who considers himself a decent person, had never realized that his normalcy was extraordinary in Maria's life. But it's not enough. No, she admits. It's not enough. But I'm going to find a way. I always do. A millionaire accustomed to solving everything with money was about to discover that some problems require something more than a checkbook. And what Maria showed him the next day would break his heart. The next day, Harrison can't concentrate on his meetings. The numbers from his clinics blur in the reports. The profit charts look like meaningless lines. His mind is on Maria, on Laura, on that metal box with the treasures of a humble family. At 4 in the afternoon, he makes a decision that will change everything. Maria, he calls when she's finishing cleaning the kitchen. Yes, sir? I want to come with you to your medical appointment. She freezes with the cloth in her hand. It's not necessary, sir. I can go alone. I know you can, but I want to go. Maria studies him for a moment. There's something in her eyes he hadn't seen before. Distrust mixed with hope. Why? It's a simple question that doesn't have a simple answer. Because Harrison doesn't completely understand why he needs to do this either. Because I want to understand. City General Hospital is a universe of organized pain. The hallways smell of cheap disinfectant and desperation. The green walls are peeling like the skin of an old wound. The metal benches are filled with women waiting with the infinite patience of those who have no other choice. Harrison had never been in a public hospital. His private clinics are temples of marble and silence, where pain is treated with efficiency and discretion. This is different. Here, suffering is public, noisy, desperate. There's my doctor. Maria points toward a young woman in a white coat, walking quickly between patients. Dr. Sanchez is 30 years old but looks 40. Her eyes are tired, but when she sees Maria, she smiles with genuine affection. How are you, Maria? And who's your companion? He's my employer, Harrison Valley. The doctor greets him with a professional smile, but Harrison notices how her eyes evaluate him. She recognizes his expensive clothes, his posture of a man accustomed to power. "May I come in with you?" he asks. If Maria agrees, Maria nods. The office is a 10 by 10 room with a metal desk and 2 chairs. Dr. Sanchez opens Maria's file with precise movements. The latest tests confirm what we already knew. Laura will need cardiovascular surgery in her first 48 hours of life. She shows them papers filled with numbers and lines that for Harrison mean the same as always: a solvable medical problem. For Maria, they're the difference between her daughter's life and death. "What's the next step?" Harrison asks. "Here at the public hospital, Maria goes on a waiting list. But," the doctor sighs, "the current list has 23 babies waiting for the same procedure. We only have one pediatric cardiovascular surgery room and a team that can do a maximum of 2 surgeries per week. The numbers are clear. Laura could wait 3 months for her surgery. 3 months she doesn't have." "What about private clinics?" Maria asks, in a voice so small it's barely audible. "At private clinics, the surgery can be done immediately, but the cost—" The doctor looks at Harrison. "I imagine you know how much it costs." "Between $40,000 and $60,000, he responds automatically. The silence that follows is deafening. Maria touches her belly instinctively. "Doctor," she says finally, "if Laura is born here and goes on the waiting list, what are her real chances?" Dr. Sanchez closes the file. Her answer is honest and brutal. 30% survival rate without immediate surgery." Maria nods as if she'd expected that answer. Harrison feels the air escaping from his lungs. When they leave the hospital, Maria sits on a bench in the parking lot. The afternoon sun falls on her face, but her eyes are lost somewhere far away. "Are you okay?" he asks. "Everyone always asks me if I'm okay." Her smile is tired, as if the answer could change anything. Harrison sits beside her. For the first time in years, he doesn't know what to say. "Maria, I have clinics. I can—" "No." Her interruption is soft but firm. "I don't want your money, sir." "Why not?" She looks directly into his eyes. "Because if you pay for Laura's surgery, what happens to the next mother in my situation? And the one who comes after her?" Her words are like a punch to the stomach. Harrison suddenly understands that Maria isn't asking for a solution just for herself. She's pointing to a much bigger problem. "There are 23 babies waiting for the same surgery as Laura," she continues. 23 families praying for a miracle. If I go ahead because you know me, what do I tell the other mothers?" Harrison feels something break inside him. It's not his heart. It's something deeper. It's his view of the world. "Maria, do you know what you do at the hospital?" "What do you mean?" "The doctor told me you help other mothers, that you translate what the doctors say for them." Maria shrugs. "It's the least I can do. Many can't read well or get confused with the doctor's words. I don't understand everything either. But something is something. And doesn't that wear you out? Helping others when you also need help?" Maria smiles for the first time that day. It's a small smile, but real. "Sir, when I help another mother understand that her baby is going to be okay, for a moment I feel like Laura is also going to be okay. It's like hope is contagious." That night, Harrison stays awake in his study, looking out the window toward the garden. His empire of private clinics suddenly seems small, limited. He has built temples for the rich, while just blocks away, women like Maria fight alone against death. And for the first time in his life, he wonders what success is for if you can't sleep at night. Harrison was about to make the most important decision of his life. But first, he would have to face the hardest truth about his own medical system. A week later, Harrison finds Maria sitting on the kitchen steps with her hands pressed against her belly. Her face is pale, sweaty. "What's wrong?" Just some pain. It'll pass." But it doesn't pass. Maria doubles over, breathing in short gasps. "We're going to the hospital. Now." "Sir, I'm fine." "You're not fine. Let's go." On the way to the hospital, Maria grips the car seat. Her contractions come every 5 minutes. It's too early. Laura isn't ready. "Not to City General," she says between pains. Why? Because if Laura is born today, there's no room in surgery. They're going to tell me to take her home and wait. Harrison feels cold fury rising in his throat. Then we're going to my clinic. Sir, I don't have insurance for... I'm the owner. You don't need insurance. They arrive at Valley Medical Center in 10 minutes. It's a building of glass and steel, with perfect gardens and fountains that whisper peace. Harrison carries Maria to the emergency entrance. I need a doctor, he shouts at reception. The nurse, a young woman in an impeccable uniform, looks at him with professional courtesy. Mr. Valley, of course. Does the patient have medical insurance? I'm authorizing her. It's an emergency. The nurse checks her computer. Sir, according to protocol, we need to verify coverage before... It's my clinic. I make the protocol. But the nurse, trained in procedures, insists. I understand, sir, but without insurance authorization, we would have to ask for a $12,500 deposit to guarantee. Maria, who has been listening between pains, touches Harrison's arm. Take me to City General, sir, please. No! His shout echoes in the elegant lobby. Bring a stretcher now! That's an order! The employees look at each other, confused. They had never seen the controlled Harrison Valley shouting in his own clinic. Finally, a young doctor approaches. Mr. Valley, we can treat her, but we need you to sign a personal authorization to cover the expenses. Of course I'll sign. Whatever's necessary. While they take Maria on a stretcher toward the delivery room, Harrison stays in the hallway trembling. Not from fear, but from rage. His own system almost denied medical attention to a woman in premature labor. His own system, built with his money and his decisions, was designed to exclude people like Maria. Laura is born at 11:47 at night. She weighs 5.5 pounds. Her skin has a bluish tone that confirms what everyone knew. Her heart problem is real, but she's alive. She's breathing. She's fighting. Dr. Mendoza, the clinic's pediatric cardiovascular surgeon, examines the baby with precise movements. She needs surgery immediately. It's operable, but it has to be done in the next 6 hours. Maria, exhausted but alert, looks at her daughter through the incubator glass. How much does it cost? She asks. $55,000. The doctor responds automatically. Maria closes her eyes. Her battle is lost before it begins. I'll take care of it, Harrison says. Sir, Maria starts. It's not discussable. I'll take care of it. But Maria looks at him with a determination he hadn't seen before. If you pay for Laura's surgery, I'm going to ask you for something in return. Whatever you want. I want us to open the doors of this clinic for all the babies waiting at City General Hospital. The silence that follows is absolute. Dr. Mendoza looks at them confused. Harrison feels like the floor is moving under his feet. Maria, that would mean that your clinic stops being just for rich people. Yes, I know. Her voice is soft but relentless. Laura won't be the only baby saved tonight, sir. Or she won't be saved. Harrison looks at her as if seeing her for the first time. This woman, exhausted from childbirth, worried about her dying daughter, is negotiating not for herself, but for all the mothers she met on the benches of the public hospital. Are you willing to risk Laura's life for that? I'm willing for Laura to grow up in a world where she's not more important than other babies just because her mother knows a millionaire. Her words fall on Harrison like a revelation. All his success, all his money, all his influence had never served him for something truly important until this moment. Dr. Mendoza, he says finally, how many babies with Laura's same problem are waiting for surgery in other hospitals in the city? In the public system, about 40, approximately. Could your team operate on all of them? The doctor blinks, confused. Technically, yes, but that would mean operating almost for free, working double shifts for weeks. Would you do it? Dr. Mendoza looks at Maria, who holds her daughter's hand through the incubator gloves. For all the mothers like her? Of course I would do it. Harrison feels something he hadn't felt in years, a purpose greater than quarterly profits. Then we start tomorrow. First Laura, then all the others. Maria smiles for the first time since labor began. Thank you, sir. No, Maria, thank you. Laura's surgery was just the beginning. What Harrison and Maria built afterward changed the lives of hundreds of families forever. 6 months later, Valley Medical Center looks different. The perfect gardens are still there, but now they're filled with children playing while their mothers wait in recovery rooms. The elegant lobby is still beautiful, but the benches are occupied by families from all social levels. Maria walks through the hallways with a folder under her arm and a badge that says, Patient Advocate. Her uniform is no longer that of a housekeeper, but of a professional who knows every story of every family that comes to the clinic. Laura, now 6 months old, is a robust and smiling baby who accompanies her mother to work. Her chest scar is barely a thin line, like a reminder of the battle she won in her first days of life. Mrs. Morales, Maria calls to a young woman waiting nervously in the waiting room. Dr. Mendoza wants to speak with you about Diego. Mrs. Morales gets up quickly, carrying a 3-month-old baby who has the same bluish pallor that Laura had at birth. Have they decided if they're going to operate on him? Maria smiles. Here all babies get operated on, ma'am. The question isn't if, but when. In his office, Harrison reviews the financial reports of the Renaissance Medical Center as they decided to rename the project. The numbers are clear. They're losing money, a lot of money, and he's never felt richer. There's a knock at the door. Maria enters with Laura in her arms. This month's reports, she says, leaving a folder on his desk. Harrison opens the folder. They're not financial numbers, they're photos. Babies before and after their surgeries, families smiling in the clinic gardens, mothers hugging their healthy children. 47 successful surgeries, Maria says, 0 mortality. And the public hospital's waiting list was reduced to 0 for the first time in 10 years. And the finances? We're going broke, sir. Her smile is mischievous. But we're going broke the right way. Harrison laughs. It's a laugh he hadn't felt in years. Free, genuine, without calculating anything. Maria, can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you accept being a patient advocate? You could have asked for anything after what we did. Maria sits across from him, adjusting Laura on her lap. Because I discovered that being invisible wasn't my destiny, sir. It was my starting point. Her words resonate in the office like bells. For years I was the silent housekeeper, the woman who cleaned without being seen. But it turns out that being invisible taught me to see others who are also invisible. Harrison nods, understanding. Every mother who arrives here desperate reminds me of who I was 6 months ago, and every baby who leaves healthy reminds me why Laura and I deserved a chance. Aren't you afraid this isn't financially sustainable? Maria looks out the window toward the garden, where several children play under their mother's supervision. Sir, do you know how many of those mothers now work here at the clinic? Harrison follows her gaze. 6. We hired them as nursing assistants, receptionists, cleaning staff, and they all earn more money than they earned before. And they all have health insurance for their families. It's true. Without realizing it, they've created not just a free clinic, but a source of dignified jobs for the same families who came seeking help. You know what I like most about this? Harrison says. What? That I no longer wake up thinking about profit numbers. I wake up thinking about how many stories like yours we're going to change today. Laura babbles something incomprehensible but musical. Maria kisses her forehead. Laura is going to grow up knowing that she matters not because her mom works for a millionaire, but because all children matter equally. That afternoon, Maria organizes the weekly Circle of Mothers meeting, a support group for families who have been through the clinic. They meet in the garden under the shade of a jacaranda tree that Harrison planted the day Laura turned 1 month post-surgery. There are 20 mothers of different ages and situations, but united by the common experience of having fought for their children against a system that didn't see them. I want each of you to share one thing you learned this week, Maria says. The stories flow, small triumphs, overcome fears, new hopes. When it's the turn of Hope, an older woman whose grandson was operated on 2 months ago, her voice trembles with emotion. I learned that my grandson isn't less valuable than a rich family's child, and that when mothers unite, we're invincible. The applause echoes in the garden. Harrison, watching from his office, feels something he had never experienced. The satisfaction of having built something that will last longer than him. But the most beautiful story was yet to come. What happened on Laura's first birthday showed them that some miracles come at the perfect moment. It's Saturday morning. The sun enters through the windows of Renaissance Medical Center, illuminating hallways that now smell of coffee and children's laughter instead of disinfectant and silence. Laura, now 5 years old, runs through the main hallway with other children who were born with heart problems and now play as if they'd never been sick. Her laugh is contagious, musical, free. Maria, who is now the executive director of the Renaissance Foundation, watches her from the reception desk while reviewing the month's reports. The clinic now treats not only cardiac cases, but all types of pediatric emergencies. They've opened 3 more locations in different cities, and they remain completely free. "Mommy!" Laura comes running over, her cheeks flushed from playing. "When is Dr. Harrison coming?" Maria smiles. After 5 years, Laura still calls Dr. Harrison, the man who saved her life, although he insists it was she who saved his. "He's coming soon, my love. Today is a special day, remember?" Laura nods excitedly. Today marks the inauguration of the 4th Renaissance Medical Center location, and for the first time, a public university has created a medical scholarship that bears her name. Laura Rivers Program, Medicine for All. Harrison arrives punctually at 10, as always, but he no longer comes in his black Mercedes. Now he drives a white van with the foundation's logo on the sides. His suit is still elegant, but his tie has small hearts printed on it, a gift from Laura for Father's Day last year. "How's my favorite girl?" he says, lifting Laura in his arms. "I'm your only girl," she laughs. "You're my only girl, but you'd also be my favorite if I had 100. Maria watches them with a smile. In 5 years, Harrison has become Laura's unofficial godfather, and she the daughter he never had. Their relationship is simple and pure. Love without complications. Family chosen by the heart. "Ready for the big day?" he asks. "More than ready," Maria responds. "But first I have something to show you." She takes him to her office, where on the desk there's an official letter with the Department of Health letterhead. "What's this?" "Read it yourself." Harrison opens the letter and his eyes gradually widen as he reads. "Maria, this says that the Renaissance Medical Center model is going to be replicated in public hospitals throughout the country, that our free care system is going to become national policy." The words get stuck in Harrison's throat. 5 years ago, when he found Maria with wet eyes washing dishes, he never imagined that that night would change not only their lives, but potentially the entire country's health system. "Do you know what this means?" he whispers. "That no mother will have to choose between working and saving her child. That no baby will die from lack of money." Laura, who has been playing with her dolls in a corner of the office, approaches them. "Why are you excited?" she asks with the innocent curiosity of 5-year-olds. Maria picks her up and sits her on her lap. "These are happy emotions, my love. Do you know what those are? Emotions you feel when something very good happens?" "Exactly. Like when they operated on me and then I could run?" "Like that, but bigger." Laura reflects for a moment, with the seriousness of children when they process important information. "Mommy, do you remember when you told me I used to be very sick?" "I remember." "And that you worried because you were afraid I would die?" Maria nods with a knot in her throat. "But I didn't die." "No, my love, you didn't die. And now other babies won't die either, right?" "That's right." Laura looks at Harrison with the solemnity of someone who perfectly understands the magnitude of the moment. Dr. Harrison, were you also worried when I was sick? Harrison crouches down to Laura's eye level. Yes, Laura. I was also worried. But now you don't worry anymore? Now I get excited, but with happiness. Like Mommy. Laura nods, satisfied with the answer. It's okay to get excited with happiness. It means your heart is very full. The inauguration ceremony for the 4th location takes place in the main garden of the original clinic. There are almost 200 people, mothers, children, doctors, nurses, government officials, journalists. But the most emotional moment comes when Maria takes the microphone to speak. 5 years ago, I was a pregnant housekeeper who worried while washing dishes in a kitchen. I was afraid, had no money, and believed I was invisible to the world. Her voice projects clear and firm over the crowd. That night I thought I had ruined everything, but it turns out that sometimes we have to allow others to see our vulnerability to build something better. Applause interrupts her speech, but she continues. Laura and I weren't saved by a millionaire's charity. We were saved by a human being's decision to see our humanity, and when he saw us, we helped him see himself. Harrison, sitting in the front row, feels deep emotion running down his cheeks. Today, hundreds of children are alive because their mothers are no longer invisible. Because we learned that health isn't a privilege, it's a right. Because we decided that no mother should have to choose between working and saving her child. Maria searches with her gaze for Laura, who is sitting next to Harrison. My daughter is going to grow up in a world where she knows she matters. But more important, she's going to grow up knowing that all children matter equally. When she finishes her speech, the ovation is deafening. But Maria only has eyes for 2 people, Laura, who applauds enthusiastically without completely understanding the importance of the moment, and Harrison, who looks at her with an admiration that has grown every day for 5 years. After the ceremony, when the crowds disperse and the garden returns to its usual peace, the 3 remain sitting under the jacaranda tree. Laura plays with dolls that represent doctors and nurses. Her favorite game is operating on her dolls and then celebrating that they're healthy. You know what I like most about all this? Harrison says, breaking the contemplative silence. What? Maria asks. That it all started with a woman washing dishes while worrying about her baby. Maria laughs. And with a millionaire who dared to ask why his housekeeper was distressed. And with a mother who refused to accept that her daughter was less important than other children. Laura looks up from her dolls. Are you talking about me? We're talking about you, my love. Can I say something important? Of course. Laura stands up with the seriousness of someone about to give a transcendental speech. I think mothers are the bravest people in the world. And I think doctors who help mothers are heroes. And I think I'm going to be a doctor when I grow up to help babies like me. Maria and Harrison look at each other and smile. In the simple words of a 5-year-old is summarized the entire purpose of recent years. And you know what else I think? Laura continues. What else? I think that when people help each other, magical things happen. She's right. 5 years ago, a desperate woman and a successful but empty man met at the precise moment. Neither knew the other had exactly what they needed. She, the perspective to give purpose to his life. He, the resources to materialize her dreams. When the sun sets over Renaissance Medical Center, Maria collects Laura's dolls, while Harrison reviews the day's reports on his tablet. 8 successful surgeries today, he says. 8 families who will sleep peacefully tonight, she responds. You know what I'm going to do tomorrow? Laura asks while putting away her toys. What are you going to do? I'm going to draw our story to tell my classmates at school. And how are you going to tell it? Laura reflects for a moment. I'm going to draw a worried mommy, a man in a suit, and a baby with a sick heart. And then I'm going to draw how the man and the mommy fixed the baby's heart. And then I'm going to draw many, many babies with healthy hearts. And what's going to be the ending of your story? That they all lived happily ever after. But not like in princess stories. Happy for real. Helping other people. That night, when Harrison returns to his house, he no longer feels alone in the elegant hallways. His estate is still beautiful, but now it's filled with memories. Photos of Laura at every birthday. Children's drawings stuck on the refrigerator. thank you letters from mothers across the country. And in the place where there used to be a simple decoration in the kitchen, now there's a small bronze sculpture, a mother's hands holding a child's hands. On the golden plaque below, a simple inscription, "So that no suffering goes unnoticed. Renaissance Foundation, 2024. As the lights dim over this story, the camera slowly pulls away from Renaissance Medical Center. You can see the illuminated windows, the gardens where children play, the families entering and leaving with hope instead of desperation. The narrator's voice becomes present one last time. Maria was right. Sometimes we have to allow others to see our vulnerability to build something better. A distressed woman washing dishes became thousands of healed hearts. A housekeeper who was invisible became the voice of hundreds of mothers. An empty millionaire found the true meaning of success. But this isn't just the story of Maria, Laura, and Harrison. It's the story of what happens when we choose to see the humanity in others, when we decide that no mother should worry alone, when we understand that true power isn't in what we can buy, but in what we can change. Today, somewhere, there's a mother worried about her sick child. There's a child who needs help. There's someone with the power to make a difference. The question isn't whether you have the resources to change the world. The question is, do you have the heart to begin? Because as Laura taught us, when people help each other, magical things happen. And the greatest magic of all is discovering that each of us has the power to be the hero in someone else's story. If this story inspired you, share it. Because there are mothers like Maria everywhere, waiting for someone to see them. There are children like Laura who need a chance. And there are people like Harrison who just need to remember what success is really for. Subscribe for more stories that remind us of the best in humanity. And remember, your next action could be the beginning of a story like this. Because we all have the power to turn someone's anguish into smiles. We just have to choose to see it.